Good morning. It is Good Friday, and I am here today with my daughter Olivia, and we will be reading together the story of the cross, the way of the cross, Stations of the Cross for children. I'm Phil LaBelle from St. Mark's Church in Southborough, and normally we're gathering at this time together to read this with the children of our parish here in front of us. But since we are away because of the coronavirus, we decided to continue this tradition in reading this story together and then snuffing out the candles as we go along. So this is the story of the cross. The beginnings of the story. The story of the cross is the story of a man named Jesus. It begins with a visit from an angel. Long ago in the little town of Nazareth, there lived a girl named Mary. She was soon to be married. Then one day an angel appeared to her and said, "Peace be with you. The Lord is with you and has greatly blessed you." Mary was alarmed. Who was this visitor? What did these words mean? The angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary. God has been gracious to you. You will become pregnant and give birth to a son, and you will name him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High God." Mary was puzzled, but she agreed to do as God wanted. An angel also spoke to Joseph, the man she was to marry, and Joseph agreed to look after Mary and her special baby. Months later, Mary and Joseph had to make a journey to Joseph's hometown of Bethlehem. The place was crowded, and they had to stay in a stable. There Jesus was born. Mary used a manger as her first cradle. Out on the hills, angels danced in the midnight sky. They sang the news to shepherds who were out watching over their sheep. They told the men there that a baby had been born, the one chosen by God to bring justice and peace to the people. The shepherds came and found the baby. The place where he lay was dark and bare, but everything was just as the angels had said. Surely a little part of heaven had come to earth. The years passed. Jesus grew up to know and love God as a child loves a good father. He learned the laws that God had given his people long ago. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and the most important commandment. The second most important commandment is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus understood, too, how deep was God's love. He became a preacher and a teacher, traveling from one place to another to speak about God to anyone who would listen. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may become the children of your Father in heaven. For God makes his sun to shine on both the good and the bad, and gives rain to those who do good and to those who do evil. People flocked to listen to Jesus. The things he said seemed good and right, and were often wrapped up in stories that were clever and funny. He was also able to heal people with just a touch, and many were eager to see his miracles. The religious teachers, however, became suspicious. "He claims to teach the laws of our people," they muttered, "but he and many of his followers do not seem to be keeping to our rituals and traditions." "Indeed, he does not," replied some of the others. "We have seen him heal people on the Sabbath day, the day when our people are commanded to do no work. So his healings cannot be miracles from God," some argued. Others were less sure. How can he work miracles of such love and goodness if he is a wrongdoer? In spite of all the good they had seen Jesus do, some people began to plot to have him put to death. It was no easy task. Jesus had a faithful band of close disciples who were always with him. The crowds treated him as a hero. Then one of the disciples grew disloyal. For a handful of silver coins, the one named Judas Iscariot told Jesus' enemies where they could find him away from the crowds. One night, while the disciples lay sleeping in the shady olive grove called Gethsemane, where Jesus spent the hours praying to God, soon armed men were sent there to arrest him. Jesus was dragged before the leaders of his people and accused of wrongdoing. People were paid to tell lies. All that remained was to persuade the Romans who had ruled the land to authorize the death sentence. Jesus was taken to the governor, Pontius Pilate. And that brings us to our first station. Jesus is condemned to death. What had Jesus done? He had come with stories and wisdom. He had come with healing and forgiveness. He had come to make people friends with God. But not everyone welcomed the things he said and the things he did. There were whispers and lies. There was anger and spite. Jesus was condemned to death. Dear God, keep me from anger and spite. Help me to love and forgive. Help me to follow Jesus.
Station 2. Jesus is made to carry the cross. Jesus was condemned to a cruel death, to be nailed to a cross of wood. Soldiers loaded the cross onto his shoulders. Although he had done no wrong, he was ordered to carry his heavy load through the jeering crowd. Dear God, when I feel alone and when troubles weigh me down like a heavy load, help me to know that I am walking with Jesus.
Station 3. Jesus falls the first time under the cross. Jesus walked along the narrow streets of Jerusalem, struggling with the heavy cross. The pavement was rough beneath his feet. The guard hurried him on without pity. He lost his footing and fell. Dear God, I try to follow Jesus, but sometimes I fail and fall. May I know in my heart that Jesus is always with me.
Station 4. Jesus is met by his mother. Jesus' mother, Mary, was in Jerusalem following her dear son as he walked to a death he did not deserve. The love of a mother is for forever. Dear God, thank you for the great family of those who follow you, for they are family to us. And give us help and encouragement as we also try to follow you.
Station 5. Simon of Cyrene helps carry the cross. Jesus struggled once again with the cross. The guard grew impatient because of his slowness. They saw a strongly built man coming in from the country, Simon of Cyrene. "Here, you, carry the cross for the wretched prisoner," the soldiers commanded. So Simon did. Dear God, thank you for those whom we do not know, who help us with their greater strength when we are in need.
Station 6. Veronica wipes the face of Jesus. Jesus could barely see the way ahead. His eyes were clouded with sweat. He tried to wipe it away, but only smeared it with his dust from his hands. Then a woman stepped forward and gently wiped his face with a cloth. Dear God, We thank you for those who see the little ways in which to give us help and support.
Station 7. Jesus falls the second time. The guard urged Jesus forward, for his sentence had to be carried out without delay. But who can walk calmly to the place where there will be pain and punishment? Once again, Jesus fell. Dear God, I try to follow Jesus, but sometimes I grow fearful and discouraged. Help me to trust that in your care, all things will work together for the good.
The women of Jerusalem mourn for Jesus. A group of women wept to see Jesus so cruelly treated. He has done no wrong, they cried. What is happening is neither right nor fair. Jesus looked at them sadly. Do not weep for me, he said. Weep for yourselves and for your children who have to go on living in these troubled times. Dear God, when the world is unkind and people are so unfair, we weep with you. You weep for us.
Station 9. Jesus falls the third time. Jesus and the guard approached the hill that was to be the end of his journey. Trembling, Jesus fell again. Dear God, whenever in this world there is more suffering than goodness, help me to believe that your goodness is strong and that your love is forever.
Station 10. Jesus is stripped of his garments. At the place of execution, the guards took from Jesus even the clothes he was wearing. They gambled among themselves to decide who would have his tunic. Jesus left with nothing. Dear God, help me not to worry about the things that people can steal, but rather to seek to live in the way you want, to live in your kingdom.
Station 11. Jesus is nailed to the cross. Then the guards laid Jesus on the cross and hammered iron nails through his hands and his feet. They hung him up to die while others mocked his suffering. Dear God, when I see violent people win, may I continue to believe in your peace.
Station 12. Jesus dies upon the cross. For several hours, Jesus hung upon the cross. He asked God to forgive those who he had treated so cruelly. He asked his friend John to be the son to his mother. He pleaded with God to tell him why he had been left alone to suffer. And then he died. Dear God, in the face of death, may I continue to believe that you are the gift of life.
Station 13. The body of Jesus is taken down from the cross. A man named Joseph from the town of Arimathea saw Jesus die. He was a wealthy man and had been a secret follower of Jesus. He asked Pilate if he could take the body and give it a proper burial. Dear God, may we continue to do good even when it seems that we have nothing left to hope for.
Station 14. The body of Jesus is laid in the tomb. Joseph had asked that a tomb be prepared for his own death. A low cave cut into the rock with a large round stone to roll in place as a door. As evening fell, Joseph and some of Jesus' friends hurriedly wrapped the body and laid it inside with the door rolled shut. Then they had to hurry home because their weekly day of rest, the Sabbath, was beginning. Dear God, when we are in despair and we have too many hours to sit and weep, be with us.
Station 15. Jesus rises from the tomb. When the day of rest was over, some women who had been followers of Jesus returned to the tomb. They brought with them spices to prepare the body for burial according to their traditions. As they approached, they saw that the stone was rolled aside, and the body was no longer inside. Instead, they saw angels. "Why are you looking among the dead for someone who is alive?" asked the angels. "Jesus is not here. He is risen." Dear God, help us to believe in you and in the love that will bring us to everlasting life. And since this 15th station is a station of hope, we will leave that last candle lit today as we get ready to conclude. Here at St. Mark's at this time, we would say together the Lord's Prayer, so I invite you to join us as we pray the words that Jesus taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And there was always one last thing that we do on this day. Way back at the very beginning of Lent, just before Lent began on Shrove Tuesday, we gathered together and colored a word that we are not allowed to say during Lent, but that we can say on Easter. And then we bury that word in a colorful box here in the church. And this year, I've moved it. It was hidden somewhere towards the back of the church where you can't see. But now it is hidden right here. And these coloring sheets, we can't say this word quite yet. We are almost there to Easter. So on Easter, we will put up a few of these. And then this year, when we come back for our first celebration together in this space, when we come back to worship, we will have all of these pictures set up around so that you can see the ones that you colored. It was a great joy to have you here with us today as Olivia and I read this story with you. We are so grateful for you. Please be well, and I look forward to celebrating with you on Easter Day. Bye-bye.